Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney, and today is Monday, March 14th. Thank you for being here for the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. This is the show where we talk about the stories that matter most to you here in Northeast Ohio, because these are the stories that you are clicking on, reading, and sharing. So let's start with an update on what's going on between Russia and Ukraine. There's a new round of talks today. This is as Russian forces continue to attack Kyiv and other cities in the country of Ukraine. The Red Cross is calling what's happening in Ukraine right now nothing short of a nightmare for the civilians who are still there. Remember, millions of people have already fled the country, and 160 civilian cars left the encircled port city of Mariupol recently. That's a designated humanitarian route. That's according to the city council of Mariupol. Now, this is a bit of a glimmer of hope. The attacks on Mariupol are about a week and a half in right now, and homes and other buildings have been hit. People have been desperate for food, water, heat, and medicine. And there was an American journalist who was killed in Ukraine over the weekend. His name is Brent Renaud, and he is a filmmaker. He's traveled to some of the darkest and most dangerous places in the world for documentaries, to take people to the places to see the suffering. Now, he was shot and died at a checkpoint in the Ukrainian city of Irpin. That's according to the U.S. State Department. He was 50 years old. He had been hired by Time magazine to work on a project about the global refugee crisis prior to his death. That's according to a joint statement from Time CEO Edward Felsenthal and Time Studios president Ian Orifeiss. So today, the talks between Russia and Ukraine have continued via teleconference. An aide to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said that there's a technical pause on negotiations and they will pick back up tomorrow. There has been some optimism expressed by the two sides over the past few days. The aide to Zelenskyy said over the weekend that Russia was listening carefully to Ukrainian proposals and tweeted today that negotiators would be talking about peace, a ceasefire, immediate withdrawal of Russian troops, and security guarantees. Now, prior to this video teleconference peace talks, the talks were held in person in Belarus, and those were not successful, obviously, to this point. And we will hear here in the U.S. from Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. He'll be delivering a virtual address to Congress on the situation in Ukraine. He'll do that on Wednesday. He'll talk to members of the U.S. House and the Senate, and that will be live streamed to the public, so we will all be able to see that as well. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that it's a privilege to have the leader of this country, where these people are fighting for their democracy and for our democracy, speak and be a guest and speak to both chambers of the House. Congress did recently approve $13.6 billion in emergency military and humanitarian aid for Ukraine. Now let's bring things back home. Our 3 News investigative team has learned that former Cuyahoga County Commissioner Jimmy Dimora has a hearing now set for June, and his release from prison could potentially be on the table. Judge Sarah Leoy released a 47-page decision that was today. We have the document. You can read the full document on WKYC.com, talking about the case history, Dimora's appeals, and now her decision to dismiss 2 of the 32 counts that he was convicted on in 2012. Now, in this written decision, Judge Leoy sort of leaves the door open for Dimora's potential release. She says she'll consider all prior sentencing memoranda, and she welcomes more written arguments from both opposing attorneys when it comes to sentencing. Now, Dimora's 28-year sentence is one of the longest terms that has ever been issued for a political figure in the U.S. He's currently being held at a medical prison facility near Boston. He's 66 years old, and his health is definitely declining, according to what supporters have told 3 News Investigates. He was in Elkton prison prior to being moved to the medical prison for heart-related issues. Now let's talk about the Cleveland Browns, and today many fans were sad to learn that the Browns have released wide receiver Jarvis Landry. Yes, definitely a fan favorite. Yes, definitely a leader in the Cleveland Browns locker room. Not necessarily a surprise, though, because coming up on this next year, he was due $16.3 million, and by releasing him, the Browns can save $15 million, and it looks like that's what they are going to do. There were some talks. Reports of talks, but they just were not able to restructure Jarvis Landry's contract. So he will now be a free agent and he will be free to go anywhere. You know, there was those conversations, but when the Cleveland Browns over the weekend agreed to acquire wide receiver Amari Cooper from the Dallas Cowboys, then after that, it was reported that they did give Landry permission to seek a trade. That didn't work out. So he is now a free agent. And like I said, he could go anywhere. Wishing Jarvis Landry luck. Wish you could have stayed here in Cleveland. I hope you have luck on a team that does not play the Browns. Here's some more reports that we're hearing. The Cleveland Browns, yes, they have remained publicly committed to quarterback Baker Mayfield as the starter, but reports from Pro Football Network's Aaron Wilson and Cleveland.com's Mary Kay Cabot say that the Browns are exploring the possibility of acquiring Deshaun Watson from the Houston Texans. Now, Deshaun Watson is not without controversy. He is considered one of the NFL's most talented quarterbacks, yes, but he sat out the entire 2021 season after reportedly requesting a trade out of Houston and being investigated for accusations of inappropriate behavior and sexual assault from 22 women. Now, on Friday, a grand jury announced that it would not indict Watson on criminal charges stemming from those allegations, but he does still face civil lawsuits and potential punishment from the NFL. So that story is far from over. So with that grand jury announcement, though, Friday, definite talks heating up regarding Watson. He's been linked to the Browns, the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Watson has a no-trade clause in his contract. He is set to meet with potential teams in the days ahead. That's according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Now, if you're following what's going on in free agency, you need to go to WKYC.com because with the unofficial start of that free agency in the league today, we've got everything you need to know on WKYC.com, and that's coming from our 3 News sports analyst, Ben Axelrod. We've got the latest on NFL transactions. If there are acquisitions for the Browns, we'll have that there. The releases from the Browns, of course, Jarvis Landry. Here's a big one that we want to pay attention to as Cleveland Browns fans. Quarterback Mitchell Trubisky is signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's happening. Here's a couple other updates. The Cincinnati Bengals signed Tampa Bay Buccaneers guard Alex Kappa to a 4-year, $40 million contract. And on the other side, Chicago Bears have signed Cincinnati Bengals defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi to a 3-year, $40.5 million contract. So lots to keep our eyes on there, especially as we take a look at what happens in the AFC North, because obviously that's going to be a very big deal to us here in Cleveland. Now let's switch gears and talk about baseball because the Cleveland Guardians have announced a design partner for Progressive Field renovations, actually design partners, several. You know, it was 2 months ago that the extension of their lease was finalized here, so now they know that they'll be working with national design firm Manica, and that will be in partnership with local architects Moody Nolan, Van Auken Akins, and Robert P. Madison, Inc. They'll be design partners for the upcoming renovations. Now, those renovations aren't expected to start until after this upcoming 2022 Major League Baseball season, which will be starting very soon, thankfully, because there was a deal reached and the lockout has ended. So, according to the information that we have about what is to come at Progressive Field, Manica will be the lead design architect, and Ohio-based Moody Nolan, which is also the largest African-American architecture firm in the U.S., will be the architect of record. Cleveland-based Van Auken Akins is the largest female-owned architecture firm in Ohio. That'll be the interiors support architect. And Cleveland-based Robert P. Madison Incorporated will work as the construction support architect. Look forward to seeing what happens there as Progressive Field gets a little bit of a facelift. Now, here is something that maybe we didn't see coming today. Dolly Parton, ever the class act, she's bowing out of the 2022 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nomination. She says she's flattered, she's grateful to be nominated, but she doesn't feel that she's earned that right, and she doesn't want votes to be split because of her, so she is respectfully bowing out, she said. She also says she hopes that the Rock Hall will understand and will consider her again if she is ever worthy. But this has inspired her to hopefully put out a great rock and roll album at some point in the future. She says her husband is a total rock and roll freak and has always encouraged her to do one. She said she wishes all of the nominees good luck and thanks them again for the compliment. Thanks the Rock Hall for the compliment. She ended it saying, rock on. Now, Dolly Parton is in the top 5 currently for the fan votes. She's in number 4. She's in the 4th place currently. So the way the fan ballot works is the top 5 vote getters make up a fan ballot, and then that's factored into the other votes that determine who will actually be the inductees. We'll find those out in May, but according to Dolly Parton, she will be taking herself off that list. Here's a list that you should have. It is Cleveland Restaurant Week, and there are 33 restaurants that are offering course options, a $36 meal for 3 courses. And these are some of the fanciest, most delicious places in town, you guys. We have the whole participating list up on WKYC.com. And here is actually the great thing about this, too. It's called Cleveland Restaurant Week, but it's actually a week and a half. So you don't have to get it in 7 days. It's from the 14th, which is today, through the 25th. So all of this week and then next week through Friday. So you can get your fix in from all of these delicious places. Some of them, La Albatross, amazing food there. Pier W, Melt Bar and Grill at a couple different locations. You don't have to be in Cleveland to get those Melt Bar and Grilled locations. There's one in Akron, for example. Also Parallax, which is in Tremont. Don's Lighthouse, Majorca, which is downtown. Lots of good options, you guys. My mouth is actually watering thinking about it. So make sure you hit that up. That list is on WKYC.com. Check that out. And by the way, you get options. So the way it works is there's an appetizer course, there's an entree, and then usually a dessert. And you get to pick one thing from each category. 3 courses, $36. Lots of opportunity to sample some delicious, delicious food. All right, that's it for your 3 News Now update today for Monday, March 14th, which is also known as Pi Day for my math fans out there. Happy Pi Day. Have a wonderful start to your week, and I will see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.